Okay, we're recording. 7 o'clock.
Welcome everyone to the Township Council meeting, Monday, July 27, 2020. This meeting is now called to order. Would everyone please rise for the salute to the flag? Mayor?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Mrs. Kraus, can you please read the statement of public notice?
Take notice that adequate notice of this meeting has been provided in accordance with NJSA 10:4-8 and NJSA 10:4-10 as follows. Notice of the meeting was prominently posted on the bulletin board at the municipal building located at 225 Main Street, Little Falls, New Jersey, on January 9, 2020. Copy of the notice was mailed to the North Jersey Herald and News and the Record on the same date. Additionally, a copy of the notice was filed in the office of the Township Clerk on said date. This meeting is being conducted under the circumstances surrounding the COVID-19 health situation. No public will be allowed to attend the meeting in person. A YouTube link to view this meeting can be accessed on the Township website at www.lfnj.com. Electronic provisions have been established for the public to participate during the public comment portion of the meeting.
Thank you for reading the statement. Mrs. Kraus, at this time, call the roll.
Councilmember Coordinator? Present. Councilmember Kawadi?
Present.
Councilmember Sieber? Present. Councilmember Vanchery?
Present.
Council President Scoba?
Present. Let the record show that Councilor Wenzel's on this, joining us with the meeting, as well as Chief Post and our engineer, Tom Lemanowicz, and Mr. Kucha. At this time, can I have a motion to approve the minutes for June 22nd and July 13th?
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Vanchery, second by Councilmember Coordinator. All those in favor of approving the minutes of June 22nd and July 13th signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying nay. That motion passes. Councilmember Kawadi?
Thank you, Council President. I just want to say how proud I am of the Domestic Violence Prevention Committee. We had a presence at the farmers market a week ago yesterday. It was a great success. We were able to hand out some literature to some people who were interested in what our message is and what we're trying to do. And so I was very happy that we were able to come out. We had planned on attending several events this year, but obviously that didn't happen because those events didn't happen because of COVID-19. But we're looking for ways to reach out to the community, and this was one that we found, and it was great. So I believe that we will probably be there once a month for the next 3 months that the farmers market is taking place. Additionally, the town cleanups continue. The DPW is doing a great job. We're trying to make sure the streets are litter-free as much as we can, but of course we always need the help of our residents to assist us in that. But we've taken and made great strides in that respect, although we're not as far along as we need to be. And as anybody who drives around on a Sunday can tell, the council president has been seen out there contributing and picking up litter, and so I want to thank you for that as well. But our DPW is doing a good job of trying to keep up with it as best they can. And lastly, in August, we're going to have 3 movie nights. Those will be August 12th, the 19th, and the 26th. They'll be outdoor movies. The films we'll be showing are Despicable Me, E.T., and Stand By Me. And, you know, we varied the movies a little bit, so they're not all geared towards little kids this year. And I hope that we can get a great turnout from everybody. Obviously, social distancing rules will apply, but this is a perfect event to do outside. People can bring a blanket or a chair and sit down and enjoy a film together, but not too close together, so as to not be safe. And that's it. Thank you.
Councilmember Quaddi, I know you're not going to show those movies in the mayor's backyard, so where are we going to watch those?
Oh, they'll be held this year at Wilmore Road Park, the Memorial Park at Wilmore Road. They will either be near the gazebo or on the side near the firehouse, depending on what we decide. We'll probably decide that day which location to pick once the company that's setting up helps us to choose a location.
Thank you. Thank you for that in-depth report. Councilman Cherry?
Thanks, Council President. From our last meeting, I mentioned how the Transportation Committee and I had pulled together a letter for Mayor Damiano to approve to set up some time to meet with the residents at both Jacobus as well as Van Pelt to discuss the pilot program around speed humps. Pleased to report that the letter went out and the residents on both Jacobus and Van Pelt should have received it as the DPW department hand-delivered these letters, so thank them. So our plan is to meet this week on Thursday, July 30th. We're going to start off at Van Pelt, meet with them in the evening for about an hour, and then head over to Jacobus to do the same thing. As part of that discussion, it'll be myself, Mayor Damiano, Council President Scova, our engineer, Mr. Lemanowitz, will be there, as well as Chief Post and Lieutenant Briggs. And again, it's a pilot program. We're going to have a discussion about the suggested locations of the speed humps for both streets, and hopefully we'll get approval from the residents. But as the letter states as well, they're suggested locations, because if someone does not want it by their home, it means that there's adjustments that will have to be made to all of the speed humps for each of the streets. So we're looking forward to the discussion on Thursday to hear from the residents and help explain speed humps just based on the data that we've collected over the past year. So I'm glad that's coming through fruition. As I mentioned last time, this is sort of phase one. After we get through these discussions, phase two will be addressing some of the four-way stop signs that we have been talking about as well. A couple other things I just wanted to mention. I do want to thank our head of the building department, Mr. James D. Maria. A couple neighbors of mine had reached out last week about some pending work they were looking to do, and before doing anything with their contractors, they wanted to connect with the building department to make sure they knew what they can and cannot do. So I'm very appreciative of Mr. Di Maria, who took time from his schedule to meet with my two neighbors, helped address their questions. And just a reminder for all residents, before you're planning to do any work, it's always good to check with the building department to make sure you know if there's anything you cannot do or if you need some permits. Sometimes your contractors will tell you, no, you don't need something, but it's best to reach out to the building department so that they can help address any of your questions. Lastly, I just wanted to say thanks to the local police department, the DPW, the recreation department, as well as the CERT team for helping coordinate an event last week that we had at Wilmore Road Park. The Passaic Valley High School marching band reached out a few weeks ago. They were looking to have their end-of-year ceremony, and unfortunately they were not allowed to use the high school campus for the event. So we worked with the band director to host the event last week at Wilmore Road Park. The students were very happy to get together one last time, obviously social distancing, and it was great to see all the different departments in town help make this event a success for each of them. That's it for me.
Yes, I was at that event. That was quite a nice tribute that the band members were able to attend at Passaic Valley. For the record, Council Member Vancherry, what is the date of the meeting?
The meeting's going to take place on Thursday, July 30th.
Okay. At what time?
Van Pelt at 6:15, followed by Jacobus at 7:30.
Okay, very good. And it's a good point you made about the building department. Yes, that's why they're here to ask questions in case people have questions about what they're going to be doing on their homes or their apartments.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Council Member Coordinator, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you, Council?
Terrific.
Just want to give a little update on what's going on with our seniors, which is, this time of COVID is very hard on them. A combination of they want to be able to reach out to their friends and socialize like they used to do, and at the same time, of course, they worry for, their health and safety. But we've been able to really work on getting them back to meeting together. We have been having them meet in the parking lot of the Civic Center. And now through the efforts and research of Mr. Pace, our director of our rec center, he has researched a terrific tent, a large tent that should be coming sometime this week, so that they could have shelter, they can socially distance appropriately, and they can continue to do their bingo. We're also going to be doing trivia with them, and once the tent is up, we're going to start our lunch and learns again, of course, following all of the directives of the state in terms of COVID-19. And the first one, a date is yet to be determined because we want to make sure that the tent goes up, is Pencil Works. Our art studio in town has offered to do an art class, of course, with appropriate social distancing, and to do a couple of them for our seniors, and we have a few other things lined up as well. So being able to socialize is so important. One of the other things we're going to try to do is give them some more education about using some of their iPhones and iPads, so they can take part of all of the great things that the rec department is doing virtually, which has also been fantastic. And I want to give a shout out to the rec department for their efforts. And that's all I have tonight.
Thank you, Councilmember Coordinator. Yes, very important that our seniors are looked after and cared for, especially during this challenging time of COVID. And I think that's an excellent program to bring about the tech aspect so that they could stay more involved, whether it be Zoom or different forms of tech. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilmember Sieber, I saw that we made Channel 12 News with the market on Sunday.
Yes, very exciting. We were featured, so this past Sunday was our 9th farmers market out of 21. Almost halfway there. We were featured on Channel 12 News over yesterday at 5 p.m., so really exciting, some great publicity. Again, the market keeps growing by leaps and bounds and expanding onto the other side of the parking lot, so we're really excited to celebrate all of the success, and without the support and business of our community, this would not be as successful as it is. So thank you. And there's so many people involved that make this happen, including our CERT team, Sergeant Janzuso, the Little Falls Police Department, our DPW, the mayor and council. So thank you to everybody for that. So please, again, every Sunday, range time, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. at 225 Main Street in the Town Hall parking lot. Also, in addition to that, just wanted to make sure to mention that, again, the library is open now. There is limited capacity, up to 25 people can be at the library. The computers are open for usage, which is really important in this time, that people do have access to computers. It is limited, but there are computers open for people. Also, as we are pretty much accustomed to, face coverings are required to enter into the library. All summer programs at this time are online. And again, if you don't feel comfortable going into the library, curbside pickup is available. And then the last update is actually a little bit more of a personal one. I wanted to make sure that everybody's familiar with a program that we have in town, and it is START. I don't know if anybody recalls, but several meetings ago, we actually did pass amendments to an ordinance about feeding feral cats an hour a day. And START is a really big program, a part of that program. So there are several feral cat communities, one being around Rainbow Caterer area that is in construction now. START is a program that actually captures space and neuters and then releases back to the wild to help stop the spread of these feral cat communities growing. I personally had an experience recently, which is just so wonderful. Myself, I've just recently taken an abandoned cat, and START helped me have this cat saved. So it's without the appreciable support of these programs that a lot of people wouldn't be able to spay or neuter their animals. And then, so unfortunately, also in today's day and age with COVID, a lot of fundraisers are not available, and START has not been able to do a lot of their fundraising. So if anybody is interested, Start does take a donation. They are located right here in Little Falls. You can send any sort of donation check to them, and they are at P.O. Box 1098 in Little Falls, New Jersey. That is it, so thank you.
Thank you for that report. I'm going to be asking the mayor this evening to discuss the Main Street, the Main Street project, which I don't think it has a name yet, Mayor, Rainbow Caterers, or the Joe Forgione project. I don't think there's any title on that project, but you would talk about that and our turf field, the progression there, and on Route 23, Mayor, the sewer issue that the town has to take care of. So at this time, Mayor Damiano.
Absolutely. Thank you, Council President. There are a number of constant changes here in Little Falls. One of them that many have noticed is our, the Main Street project. I think more commonly lately, we've been referring to it as the Singac redevelopment project. That is the area of 381 and the surrounding areas of Falls Meadow, and that entire area there, the 8 acres that is scheduled to be redeveloped. We are underway, and there are 2 phases, or I should say 2 separate projects that are kind of going on under one umbrella there. One portion of it is the 4 rent units that are going to be going up in the larger singular building that's going up there, the 185 apartment buildings. And next to that, towards the left side of the site, when you're standing on Main Street, the more eastern side is going to be 102 townhomes. If you've traveled by the area in the recent past, you've noticed that there is some work ongoing there, the demolition of the more westerly side, the 185-unit building, where that will be going. There has been some demolition started. In that area, the contractor has secured all of the shutoffs that were necessary, all of the permits to open the road to get all of those taken care of, and has secured all of their demo permits with the town and have begun the demolition work there. It seems to be going rather smooth so far. We are very pleased, and they've been doing a very good job at keeping the dust down to the extent that they can, even in light of how absolutely dry and hot it has been over these past several weeks, never mind these past couple of days. So that is moving along. On that left side, or the more eastern side of the site, where the 102 townhomes are going, the developer is in the final phases of securing the road opening permits to secure the water shutoffs in that area. All of the gas shutoffs have been completed. And once that is done, they will then also be able to begin their demolition on that half of the site and move along with all of that. So it is well underway. It is a project that the township is in desperate need of, not only because of the demand for housing here, but more importantly, and on an immediate basis, we are this year down about $1 million in revenues to date. It is a tremendous shot to us here economically, because on a township that has about a $20 million budget in an average year, this $1 million makes up 5% of our annual budget. It is a substantial blow to us, and unfortunately, many of the expenses that townships have are not stopped or stayed because of COVID like the revenues have been. That being our salaries to all of our employees, our police department, our sewer fees, all of the things that nobody really sees, whether it be salt in the winter, whether it again be the sewer fees that we incur year-round. These are all things that the township is expected to continue to pay over the course of the year. And the people who were originally doubters regarding the Singac redevelopment project, it may be one of the very few things that this township has as far as revenues this year that are able to keep our heads just at water level, just slightly above water going into 2021. Because but for that project and what we are hoping to secure in permit fees, and that's why I am anxious that this project continue to move along at a rapid pace. The revenues that we will be receiving in town, again, being down $1 million, our only hope is to have it offset by some of these, I'll call them unanticipated revenues, in that it's not revenues that we see on a regular weekly, monthly, or annual basis. This is sort of a one-shot
revenue. And unfortunately, in a year where it would have helped and been a tremendous assistance to our future year's budgets, this year it's going to help us just keep our heads, again, hopefully above water. So it is moving along. I am anxious to see it continue to move along here because, again, it will hopefully secure for us just the ability to continue to breathe without putting that additional burden of having to generate somewhere near an extra $1 million in next year's budget over and above what we would have normally anticipated. So it is moving along. I hope to see it continue to move along at an expeditious pace here because once not only these permit fees are in, but then we get the added assessments on the buildings there, it will be certainly helpful in future years in offsetting our taxes and our revenues. So again, it is moving. I'm very pleased with the fact that it is moving, especially in light of all of the economic hardships that most people are facing. These developers are anxious to continue to move this project along, so I'm very thankful for that. We also have, and you indicated the turf field project. That is still well underway. Fortunately, it is continuing to move at quite a rapid pace over there. Unfortunately, as is common in a lot of construction projects, there are sometimes unanticipated expenses that come up in light of a project that is happening. And one of the major expenses that has come up there, something that was not really anticipated. The testing was done, of course, ahead of time, but not so much so that it was ahead of time to prepare for the funding of it. One of the major issues we face there is a ton of contaminated soil at the site of Doverfield. And again, the bad news is that there's going to be a large expense associated with the removal, and that is anybody that drives past there now, the soil mounds that continue to be on site there right now, all of that soil is contaminated, and that's the reason why it remains there. Of course, people are always willing to take something, but only for the right price. So the cost associated with removing this soil was somewhat unanticipated, and it's going to be a fairly large expense to do that. But the good news is this. Happy to say that anyone that's going to be playing on that field in the future will never have any concerns or issues associated with contaminated soil. So this is a good thing for the future of Little Falls. Again, a small expense to make sure that everybody's health and safety is really in the forefront going forward. So again, with the bad does come some silver lining, and that is the fact that there will be no more contaminated soil that our children are playing on down at the recreation center. Again, which I believe is a very good project for all of us here in town, whether you have children that are associated with the rec program or you are an adult that uses the facility. This is something that will increase all of our property values here in Little Falls and something that will bring positive news to all of us here. And I do believe that this is a very good project as it continues to move forward, and I am ecstatic and I am really, truly excited to see the final product there because it's going to be an incredible facility that we have down there. Also, Council President, you mentioned the emergency sewer work that's going to be happening on Route 23, or what you referred to as Route 23. Unfortunately, when it rains, it pours, I guess. And this year, in anticipation, well, I guess unfortunately, we were recently advised of some sewer issues in the area of Route 23. What we did is, because Route 23, as many people know, will be getting repaved within the next couple of months, we wanted to make sure that we did our homework to make sure that the sewer lines there were operable because of the issues we've been having. And after having the lines televised, we found that many of them in that area were failing, and not just slightly, but fairly substantially. We were dealing with some major issues along the sewer in Route 23. And we wanted to make sure that we were able to get in there and perform the work before the state comes along and pays to repave Route 23, rather than the system completely failing and us having to do the work after it's repaved and then be responsible potentially to repave the entirety of Route 23 that's torn up, maybe doubling the cost of this project. And the cost of this project is somewhat staggering in that it's several hundred linear feet of sewer line that needs to be repaired or replaced, really. But the cost and work estimate that we've gotten is for $590,000 along this stretch of Route 23. Again, something that was not anticipated this year in a year where we are unfortunately down a substantial figure in revenues. So it's ever more crucial that this council remains vigilant as far as the spending that's been ongoing, which they have always been, and it's for those reasons that we've been able to sustain little to no tax increases here in Little Falls over the past 2, 3, 4 years here since this administration has been in place. So unfortunately, like I said, another cost that was unanticipated that we will need to take on the chin and repair now, because waiting 6 months to a year when it completely fails may have doubled the cost for us once we had to pave the entirety of that roadway or whatever else the state may have required on their newly paved road. So again, unfortunate, but it is something that we will need to address there. And then finally, circling back very quickly to our rec center field and some of the other issues that we've faced there, we were recently advised that some of the electric lines associated with the light system that's down there at the rec center was damaged during the work that was recently performed. And that was somewhat concerning until some investigation was done into it, when we found out that some of the lights or conduits that buried these wires were not necessarily buried as deep as they may have or really should have been at the time they were installed 15, 20, 30 years ago, whenever that work was actually performed. So again, this is something that is, again, another expense that we're going to have to take to address this and adequately repair and replace these electrical lines. But again, the silver lining with this is that our children will be out of harm's way with these conduits being properly buried in the future, that there is no more concern associated with that. And again, this is something that goes back 15, 20, 30 years. I don't know exactly when the original work was performed there, but it's unfortunate that, again, this administration has to continue to take on the chin expenses for things that may not have been repaired or really installed up to par at the time that they were. But again, silver lining being that everybody down there will remain extremely safe in the future, and we'll have some outstanding facility there. So I'm, like I said, very excited about that. And that is all that I have to report, Council President, unless you have any other updates, aside from my very brief COVID update that I have this week. Over the past 2 weeks, we've only had 6 additional COVID cases. As I wrote in a recent post 2 weeks ago, we had 4 positive cases, 4 new cases, that all of which were asymptomatic individuals. And I know this is something that I've harped on social media, and the fact of the matter is I just want people to remain vigilant about the issues and the concerns that are being shared in the social distancing and the masks when possible, because the big concern is that these individuals were in fact asymptomatic. And the reason that that is a major concern is because they were carriers and could have been sharing this virus without ever knowing and without ever exhibiting a sign or a symptom themselves that they were sick. And that's why it's important when people say, I don't think I need to wear a mask. It's my constitutional right not to wear a mask. I mean, I will say, and I know I've said this in the past, reading the Constitution a number of times, whether it be, well, I've never really read it for fun, but in law school, I saw no article anywhere through the Constitution that indicates it's your constitutional right to wear or not wear a mask. So what I'm asking for is, I know it's uncomfortable. I'm hotter than anyone on the face of this earth at about 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I understand how absolutely miserable it is to wear a mask. But if you cannot maintain social distancing and you are within close proximity to others, please wear your mask when possible. Remain vigilant. Let's put this thing behind us. Let's not end up like our neighbors to the south who have seen incredible spikes in numbers. Let's stop people from being hospitalized. Let's stop people from dying in this state and all of our states throughout the country. Let's get through this thing together, put our heads down, barrel through it, and put it behind us. We'll get through it. That's all that I have this week, Council President, for an update.
Thank you, Mayor. At this time, does the council members have any questions or comments for the Mayor Damiano regarding what he reported this evening? Councilor Wenzel, do you have anything? I'm sorry?
I have nothing to report tonight, Council President.
Okay, thank you, Councilor. Can I have a motion to open the meeting for the public for all matters?
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Cornier, second by Councilmember Kawadi. All those in favor of the motion of opening the meeting to public matters signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion carries. Mrs. Kraus.
Anyone wishing to address the Township Council may do so by sending an email to ckraus@lfnj.com. The email must provide your name and address for the record. At this time, there will be a 10-minute recess, which will allow the public to send comments and questions via email. At the end of the recess, the meeting will reconvene and all proper emails will be read into the record. The Council President will determine if a response is needed, and if so, shall direct said response. Once the process is complete, we will return to the regular order of business.
So at this time, we will return at 7:40. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, we are back. Mrs. Kraus, have we received any emails for the public comment?
Yes, we received 2 emails.
Mayor, are you in receipt of those 2 emails?
Yes, Council
Is that the
President,
right
I
word?
received,
Received?
I received both of them. Yes, I have.
Can you read them at this time?
Yes, the very first is from Marie Scoba at 6 Greenbrier Road. It says, "My name is Marie Scoba, and I reside at 6 Greenbrier Road, Little Falls, New Jersey. On July 5th, 2020, at approximately 5 p.m., I accidentally severed my finger open, slicing a bagel. My thumb was gushing blood, and even though I was applying pressure to my injury, the bleeding wasn't stopping. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, I did not want to go to an emergency room, urgent care, or call the ambulance to my home. Basically, I just wanted a qualified EMT or equivalent to look at the injury and let me know if stitches were warranted. I thought of our town people and wondered if one of our EMT staff would look at my finger and give their best judgment so I could proceed properly. My son drove me to the firehouse on Patterson Ave. There I spoke to Officer Conti and Officer DeGangi. They both comforted me as best they could, looked at the wound, and said that one of their ambulances was coming back from a call and they would radio her to stop by the firehouse to take a look at my thumb. While I waited, Officer Conti wrapped my thumb in gauze to help stop the bleeding. The ambulance showed up, and I am sorry I didn't get the EMT's name, but she put me at ease and said it was not necessary to get stitches. She told me how to care for it in the coming days, and I followed her advice. I turned over my insurance card so she could bill my insurance company, and I was on my way back home. I just wanted to say that our town has pretty knowledgeable and considerate workers and volunteers there for us in every way, whether it's keeping our streets in town safe, providing medical care on all levels, or even fighting fires in our homes and buildings in our municipality. I am proud to have such a wonderful group of people here in this town I call home. Thanks for your help. You are recognized, and I truly appreciate it."
Thank you, Mayor. We definitely appreciate that note. We do want to say if the residents do feel that they can't drive to a facility to call EMT, and they would definitely respond. It is great to know that staff that you put together, Mayor, is very professional. I know what they're doing, especially during this time that we have COVID, and that makes it more complicated when people have injuries. Is there another letter, Mayor?
There is, Council President, from Sandra Pace at 41 Parkway. The question is, could you please provide any information on the home located at the beginning of Parkway and West End 39? This house looks as though it has been abandoned. The grounds are overgrown, and there's litter and alcohol bottles surrounding the property. So I do have an answer to that question. It was actually something that I had addressed with James DiMaria, our building official. I actually sent him a question about that on Saturday at 3:25 because the town never sleeps, although people enjoy nights and weekends. The town never sleeps, and Mr. DiMaria was very quick to respond to me over this weekend, and he indicated to me that our Inspector Warnett issued violations to the bank because it is a bank-owned property. He also advised me that we do have a property maintenance contact that we've secured because of our agreement that we have with the county through ProChamps, something that this council entered into just, I believe it was last year, I think it was the 2019 calendar year. So we were able to secure a property maintenance contact for this bank-owned property, and we are hoping that it will be addressed in very short order and that they will get there to maintain the property. If they do not and are unable to do so, what we have done in the past is after attempting to get the property maintenance contractor in to maintain the property, we can order that the DPW get there to cut the lawn, and then we can send a bill and enter a lien against the property, which is something that we can do. It is our last resort because there are a number of hurdles and additional steps that we need to go through. But I actually took a trip by the property myself, and it is certainly an eyesore and certainly in need of some TLC. So if it is not addressed in relatively short order by their property maintenance contract, we will need to take actions into our own hands and have it addressed. But it is certainly something that was on our radar, and it was addressed over the course of this weekend. So hopefully soon it will be maintained, and it will no longer be an eyesore in the neighborhood.
Mr. Space, we appreciate the letter that you forwarded to the council that the mayor read. And please don't hesitate to reach out to the mayor or not wait for a council meeting to bring this issue to the forefront. We will not tolerate a home that is in disarray with litter and high lawns and et cetera. And the mayor will definitely get on this. And if so, we will use the full force of whatever legal means is possible There's no reason why a home should have skewed litter on its property. There is a responsibility to those that have that ownership of that property, and we will make sure that's taken care of. So thank you for your letter. Are there any other emails, Mrs. Kraus, that came forth?
No, I haven't received any other emails.
Have a motion to close the public comment?
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Coordinator, second by Councilman Vanchery. Is that correct, Councilman?
Yes, sir.
All those in favor of closing to the public signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying nay. Let's move on to the consent agenda. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Coordinator, second.
Second.
Second by Councilman Vanchery. Mrs. Kraus, please call the roll for the consent agenda.
Councilmember Coordinator?
Yes.
Councilmember Kawadi?
Yes.
Councilmember Seaver? Yes. Councilmember Vanchery?
Yes.
Council President Scoba?
Yes. Mayor Damiano, do you have any other comments before we close out this meeting?
Council President, I received an update from our police chief, who indicated that the sewer work on Route 23 is actually going to be beginning this Wednesday. There will be no detours. It will be daytime work. There will be 2 lanes maintained, one heading northbound, one heading southbound. So if you do use that roadway, you can still use it. Just be aware that there will be a slight, lane shift in the area.
Mayor, since you brought that up again, do you have a time frame on how long this project will take to address this sewer issue?
Mr. Kuchar, was that in the
It's a rather
report?
short time frame because the
3 weeks,
state
4 weeks?
contract.
No,
state-
even
no,
shorter.
It's shorter than that.
2
because
weeks?
the state is planning to pave, and they're on a time schedule, so I'm thinking it's 10 days.
Yeah, it was a very short time period that they had to get in and get this work.
Maybe we got to find out who these individuals are, because 10 days, that's wonderful. I don't mean to be jovial about this, but we have some projects that go on forever, yet this individual crew, which is quite an extensive amount of work and a job to do. This is not an easy task where this sewer is located and the amount of concrete that's on top of it. So I'm really happy to hear it's going to be within 2 weeks. Have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Coordinator, second.
Second.
Second by Councilman Kawadi. All those in favor of adjourning the meeting signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying nay. This meeting is now closed. Thank you.